Communication is important that we understand the differences between men and women, and because they affect in how we relate. This is more generic. There's some women who behave more like men, and some men who behave more like women. But in reality, these are general understanding of what happens. Men and women have been created differently. And as I said, God created Adam as a companion to complement him in order to be complete. So it is important to realize that God created even their brains, their left brains and their right brains, created with the very idea of complementing each other in order to complete each other. So they are wired differently. Men usually follow logic, and women more they are more intuitive or emotional, right? And that's why it is important that sometimes to understand that women operate on the E channel, which is the emotional channel, and men on the logical channel. And those differences affect our communication if you're not aware of, if you're not careful of that. Because, for example, a woman comes back from work. Maybe she had a rough day. Both of them, they've had a rough day. But a woman comes back from work, has a rough day. When she has had a rough day, she wants to talk. She wants to talk about everything. She wants to relate every single detail, what happened during the day. I was at my workstation, and from there, I was going to photocopy. And when I was photocopying, he came to me and he says, I must do that. And now she wants to tell the whole thing. And the man, because he operates on the logical level, he's wondering, what is the point? He wondering what is the point, and now he wants to give solutions. He wants to cut short. And now, while she's telling the story, while I was in the work on the photocopy machine, he came and the man jumps in. Why didn't you tell him that it's not your job? Why? Why didn't you tell him? He wants to give solutions because he operates on the logical level. He wants the point. He wants to end this thing and solve it now, right? But he doesn't realize that women relate on the emotional channel. While they are talking, they are connecting. And that's why I said it is good for men to go. There's a man called John Gray who wrote the book, Men Are From Mars, from Venus. And the idea is that men must go to Venus, move from Mars to Venus, and understand how women operate. And the same as women must go to Mars to understand how men operate. Right? So I said to men, always listen to two women talking. Two women can talk for 3 hours without solving anything. Never solving anything. For 3 hours, another one says, oh, really? Oh, don't say it. Oh, shame. 3 hours without solving anything. And by the time they are finished, they feel good. Because they've connected. They didn't solve it, but they feel good. And that's why I say to men, start learning these things. So that when your wife comes back from work and she's stressed and she's talking, you must learn this thing. And start saying, oh, really? Oh, shame. Don't say it. All right? Now, on the other hand, when man has had a rough day, they come back home, they don't want to talk. They shut the door. They don't want to talk. And I remember a young lady who came to me, we were talking counseling. She says to me, I know he's stressed at work and all of that. I wish he could come here, put his head on my chest, and we can talk about it. He can tell me all about it. I said, no, he's a man. Leave him. He's got a plan. He's going to sort them out tomorrow. So just leave him alone. Leave him alone. So it is important that we understand these differences. And these differences affect our communication. Some of the things that we are so irritable about had nothing to do with real issues because we are failing to understand. Women have been given a gift of multitasking. Women can do so many things at the same time. A woman can be talking on the phone while she's cooking and watching television at the same time, disciplining the children. Hey. A woman can do all of those things at the same time. But a man can only do one thing at a time. That's why when a woman goes to the bathroom and says to a man, please watch, man is reading a newspaper. And the woman says to the man, please watch the pots. I'm going to the bathroom. That's a trap. A man must never agree to that thing. Because next time the pots have bent. And he says, but I asked you. But you understand, God created me to do one thing at a time. You know, John Gray tells the story of how often his wife will call him in the afternoon before he comes back from work and says, you know, bring milk and bread and whatever at the shop when you're way back from work. And he says he always come home without them. And the wife is angry. And you know how they can be so much emotional. Why? I called you. I reminded you. You know, and that means you don't care what I have to say. That means I'm not important to you. What is important in your life? And she can go on and on. But she doesn't realize that a man can only do one thing at a time. And at least he chose a good thing to come home. Because you never know what will have happened to him if he went to the shops. There are men who went to the shops on Thursday and only come back on Sunday. Because you never know what will have happened. Because a man can only do one thing at a time. So if your husband came home, say hallelujah, Jesus. He chose the right thing. Because, you know, ShopRite and Pick and Pay can be a trap for him and he never makes it home. So it is important to understand, and the different understanding and the different views makes us to be able to understand each other better. Somebody says, on average, a man speaks 12,500 words and women can speak 25,500 words. That means the man goes to work, he uses his 12,500. And the wife uses her 12,500, but she still has another one for home. She still has another one spare, of which the man must listen to. Speaking the truth in love